World Economic Forum kicks off today for its first in-person meeting after a 2-year hiatus. World leaders, business titans, and politicians alike all gathering at the event. Yahoo Finance's editor-at-large Brian Sozzi sat down with Unilever CEO Alan Jope to discuss climate change, the outlook for consumer staples, and inflation.
Joining me now is Unilever CEO Alan Jope. Alan, good to see you in person. Another CEO I talked to, but no jacket. Aren't you guys cold?
Oh, come on, it's great.
I know, I got to tough it up here. But what brings you here to the World Economic Forum? How many WEFs have you been to, and what are you hoping to get out of this?
Yeah, I think, first of all, it's a good place to listen and learn and build your world view. Secondly, it's super efficient for us to meet our partners, lots of our business partners, partners from civil society, some governments. It's a highly efficient use of time in that regard. And we do have an agenda that we're driving. So Hanneke Faber, our president of food, she's here driving an agenda on regenerative agriculture so that the food system becomes a bit more sustainable and we de-risk the food system. Our CFO, Graham Pitkethly, he's here driving standardization of non-financial reporting because there's great danger that that proliferates and becomes unmanageable. I'm driving things like plastic and recycling. And so we come to listen, meet with partners, and drive a few points on the Unilever agenda.
Unilever has always struck me as a company driven by purpose, lots of focus on climate and doing things differently. Why is that so important within your company, but also with consumers?
Well, first of all, it goes back to our very founder's DNA. Back in the 1870s, William Lever was talking about making cleanliness commonplace and lessening the load for women. So he was an early public servant on health and women's rights, and it's stayed with us. But let me be clear, we're not an NGO, we're a commercial organization, and this is all done around creating value for our shareholders. That's the ultimate goal. The business case is pretty clear. Consumers are choosing sustainable brands at a preferred rate. We believe the investments take out costs, they don't add costs to the business. It definitely lowers risk, and most of all, doing business on a sustainable platform is a magnet for young talent. So those are the reasons why we get into it, but it's very commercially driven.
What do you say to investors who say, I just want Unilever focused on making products? Why do they have to stand for something? How do you deal with that pushback?
Well, first of all, the majority of investors don't take that view. So BlackRock want to engage with us to understand how do you follow a carbon reduction agenda. Aviva want to understand how do you improve the nutritional standard of your foods. Legal & General are working with us on making sure that fair living wages are paid in the value chain. So the overall sentiment of investors is one of strong support for putting sustainability at the center of the business. Anyone who's more skeptical, I think there's only one answer. We have to show that it drives superior financial returns. We're not an NGO. We're a commercial organization, and so everything's driven by a business case.
The mood here at Davos is a little gloomier than I thought. I think it was a PwC survey said 73% of CEOs expect the world to be in a recession this year. Do you share that view?
Well, the world's not flat.
Wait, it's not?
So we are very bullish on South Asia. So not just India, by the way, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, all doing very well. Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand starting to come back strongly. We see extraordinary ability to navigate uncertainty in Africa and Latin America. So far, the US consumers held up well. Europe is a more difficult space. So I think there will be parts of the world that go into recession this year. But we will choose to ignore that in the parts of the world that are enjoying continued growth. And South Asia, Southeast Asia at the heart of that. A
part of the pressure on consumers is they're dealing with price increases from a lot of consumer products companies. Do you plan to raise prices this year, and where in the portfolio?
Yeah, so raising prices is the last thing that we want to do when our input costs go up. We first look at efficiencies. Actually, we've asked our shareholders to take some of the pain. Our margins will go down in 2022. That's what we've guided. But ultimately, we have needed to pass along price. I would say right now we're probably at peak inflation, but not peak pricing. So yes, there is more cost coming through in our supply chain, and there will be more pricing that comes through.
Are consumers trading down?
They're not. Nielsen take a look at our business, certainly in the Unilever portfolio. 35% of our portfolio is premium at a 120 index or above to the market, 50% in the middle of the market, and 15% in our value offerings. and the fastest growing segment of that is the premium portfolio. So I'm sure there's down trading happening in some places. It's not a material part of what we're seeing in our business, although we are constantly making sure that in our portfolio we have value offerings where that's to start to emerge.
Last time I talked to you, maybe 2.5, 3 months ago, you seem to have braced your new activist investor and board member, Nelson Peltz. Said he's doing, and he has good ideas to help turn this company around, drive better results. Now, since then, Nelson has taken a campaign against Disney, and they do not have that view or that same approach. As someone that has dealt with Nelson, why are you embracing him, and a company like that may not?
Nelson Peltz has joined our board and brought all kinds of good ideas. His view on what the company needs to do is very aligned with the agenda that we're working on. A big part of our agenda last year was to simplify our organization. That was something he felt needed to happen. Somebody who has got a strong track record in the CPG industry, we thought would make a good board member for Unilever. I can't obviously comment on other companies.
Does he unlock value in those meetings? What's his thought processes?
I shouldn't comment too much on one particular board member, but we expect all of our board members to make contributions that help guide the company and steer us in the right direction. Nelson's an experienced board member who is very focused on performance and on setting up the company for the future.
You're also fresh off a key investor day too. Really interesting slide deck. It does seem like you are driving a reimagination of Unilever. Where are you at in that process?
So over the last 5 years, we've really been working on 4 things. First, making sure our executional muscle is in good shape. Secondly, continuing to evolve the portfolio, exiting spreads, exiting tea, building up a business in luxury beauty and health and well-being has been an important part of our growth agenda. Third is to make sure everyone understands our strategic choices. What markets matter? What categories do we care about? What channels are we building in? And then the fourth part of reinventing Unilever has been this very substantial organization change from a complex matrix to 5 business groups with full accountability and extreme simplicity. So I only have now 5, I can either say throats to choke or backs to pat.
Before I let you go, you're supposed to be retiring at some point this year. What's next for you?
Well, at the moment I'm 100% focused on Unilever, making sure we keep cranking out quarter after quarter. That's my job. I have very, very many interests outside my business work, and it'll create some time to follow.
Some travel?
There'll be a bit of travel. I'll get the chance to finish our round the world motorcycle trip for a start. That's work in progress.
Oh, geez. Well, stay safe and wear a jacket too. Unilever CEO Alan Jope, good to see you again.
Thank you very
Enjoy
much.
the rest of Davos.
You bet.